This is a special edition of Late Night Health. I'm Mark Pilon. During the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to spend some time with a guy we've interviewed a bunch of times over the years, primarily about breast cancer, but we're going to tie breast cancer right now with COVID-19. We're going to spend some time with Mark Pilon. He is the executive director of the Susan G. Komen Foundation Los Angeles chapter. Mark, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. You know, how are you handling? Before I ask that question, because I'm going to ask you how you're handling COVID-19.
Yeah.
Recently, somebody said, "Hey, do you know anybody who's been hospitalized?" And I thought, yes, and it was you.
Yeah.
You and your wife were both hospitalized with COVID-19.
Yes, we were in ICU together I was there for a little over a week. She wound up being there for 4.5 weeks because while she was in ICU, actually it was the day she was coming home, she had a bilateral stroke. She had a stroke on two sides of her brain. So she wound up spending another 3.5 weeks there.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And how's she doing?
Doing good. She's doing good. She's got some speech things that she's working on. But other than that, all of her motor skills are there. And everything else. And she, you know, I was funny because my daughter had asked me, how are you going to understand mother? How are you going to know what she wants? And I said, honey, I've memorized 400 different looks over the last 40 years. I said, I'm not going to have a problem.
And you haven't?
I haven't. No.
You haven't?
Not at all.
And I just have to mention that the rumor is that when you and your wife watch TV at night, you sit on the couch together and you hold hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's terrific. 40.
We still do.
But you still do. 40 years, right?
Yes.
All right.
Together 40 years.
You're catching up to me.
Yeah.
42.
Well, okay.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. As we talk about this, less than 24 hours ago, Governor Newsom again locked us down. And the lockdown is, I think it's difficult. I'm a social guy. I like to go out to have lunch or dinner, drinks, a soda, coffee with people. And I have not seen a lot of my friends literally in months.
No, I know.
And
it is tough. I lost a nephew back in April and I couldn't go back to his funeral because they were only allowed to have 10 people at the funeral. And we have a massive Irish Catholic family, and there would have been 300 there if we had been allowed, but we couldn't. And it was really challenging that I couldn't give my brother a hug. I couldn't console him in any way other than, they actually live streamed the funeral so we could all be there.
Yeah, I've heard that they're doing that here in LA as well.
Yeah.
At services.
And churches closed down again yesterday.
Yeah. And so we're locked down again. And even though you love your wife for 40 years, after 24/7 for, it's difficult to me anyway.
Yeah.
To be with the same person day in, day out for weeks and days and even months at a time and not getting out.
Yeah, it is. I do the grocery shopping and I'll run to Home Depot and things like that. But our daughters and our kids stop over and see us. So just to check in on us and stuff like that. And obviously they're who I'd like to see most. But you just have to turn that viral thing into, I haven't depended just on Zoom meetings. Sometimes I've just Zoomed to friends so that we could sit and BS and have a good time and chat and have a cup of coffee or something together and keep that personal relationship alive and well, rather than just saying, I can't see you right now, so I'm going, we're not gonna touch base. But it is hard. It's very, very hard because I'm the same way, Mark. You know me. Yeah. I'm going up and we're at a meeting and I'm hugging, more than 50% of the people that are there, because I care about them and I'm concerned about them and I've worked with them for years, and it's hard to just create that boop, and have that be an acceptable greeting.
I know.
On a few times you do see somebody.
It is difficult. we've been doing happy hours with friends, and maybe enjoying an adult beverage, and you're just sitting around, and it's almost like being there. Almost. I mean, we're doing this in Zoom, and I think that's fine.
I think we require that as humans.
I'm sorry?
I said, I think we require that as social humans.
Yeah. Well, we're pack animals.
Yeah.
Right? We run around in groups. And, you know, in high school, you were either in the group, the athletic group, or the musical group, or the nerd group, or the no group. But, and we'll let you decide where you think I was. I was in
the greasers or the preppies.
Yeah, exactly. When a woman has breast cancer,
yes,
and we've talked to some of the men who have had breast cancer too, their immune system, even years later, is compromised, and they have to take precautions against COVID.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell
Most
us
definitely.
about that.
Well, there's a heightened sense of their need to really stay sequestered from other folks, and even some of their family, because their family has more of a social life, or they're working out there in a retail or some kind of a public domain. They've got to be really careful with even seeing their own family, that when their kids or their grandkids come over, they're sitting there with masks on, sitting on the opposite end of the living room. You can't get a hug and a grandpa and run over and jump into my arms or into their arms. And it's really difficult for them, because they've had to take it a step further than all the rest of us. All cancer patients, not just breast cancer patients, but they've got to take it a step further and really make certain, because it could be an absolute death sentence for them if virus. I know how hard it was when my wife and I went through it, and it was incredibly difficult. We were both in ICU. Afterward, when the kids came over, they were all one sitting way over here, one's at the fireplace, one sitting at the breakfast table,
and no hugging, no
hug, no anything, and that's so challenging. Put that on steroids times 100 for a cancer patient, a breast cancer patient, or just a cancer patient who's, chemo has destroyed some other things or given them other underlying conditions that they're having to deal with above and beyond just their cancer. Their immune systems are compromised, all kinds of their lymphedema and things like that they're dealing with. There's all kinds of stuff, and they just cannot have the exposure.
What are some of the things that cancer patients, as you said, in general, and we're specifically breast cancer patients, maybe those who have had breast cancer and it's metastasized, that is spread to other parts of the body, what should they do? I mean, you just mentioned one, they got to stay away from other people.
Yeah, they've got to stay away. They've got to continue to eat healthy, follow all the other guidelines with the social distancing and the masks. And, a lot of patients even have incoming health care into their homes. They've got to practice those same rules and regulations with health care givers that are there to take care of them. The health care people are completely garbed up with shields and everything else, but they just have to be so cautious about, even is the guy that drops off your water. You got to wipe off the bottles and everything first before you bring them in. You don't know if he did that all with gloves on, or the guy that handled it before him did it with gloves on. So there's all these, I think they have to take it just so many more steps further than John Q. Public does in the precautionary measures that they take to protect themselves, or their family has to do it for them.
Yeah, and some of these people that that I've talked to personally, don't have other family members.
No, I know. I'm my wife's caregiver, and we're always taking the special precautions. Even when the kids come into the house, and it feels kind of icky to do this afterwards, but we're sanitizing the counters in the kitchen. wiping off the faucets and everything else because they came in and washed their hands, but they grabbed that before they washed their hands. And so there's all those things that in the restroom, the handles on the sink and the handle on the toilet. You just have to be cautious with that stuff because both of our immune systems, she has COPD. I wound up with double pneumonia while I was in the hospital, and my lungs are more compromised now. Every time that happens to you, you become more and more compromised. I'm not my svelte self that I was 30 years ago, so I'm carrying an extra 20 years or so with me. And those are all underlying conditions that can lead to more problems when or if you do get diagnosed.
You were working with other affiliates here in California,
yes,
to help with a response. I guess it's a response fund. Can you explain that?
California Response Fund. Yeah.
Right. Explain what that is for us.
Well, when this, we all started closing our offices and things, we realized that we needed to go above and beyond, and we needed to do some more things to try to help with that intervening so that women or symptomatic men didn't have to go out as much, didn't have to be exposed, didn't have to take public transportation and possibly put themselves in a compromised situation. So we really came up with a plan, and all 6 of us got together, shook hands, and said, let's do this as a team. We put this response together to handle transportation. We're doing Lyft rides for individuals, so it's really minimizing their exposure to their doctor's appointments and back home again. I can't take them to the grocery store and everything else, but to do, whether it's for chemo or for just a checkup or for their diagnostic work, we're making sure that they get there, just one individual in the car and bringing her home to her residence. And then we're working with Project Angel Food on making sure that they have prepared meals. We're offering emotional support and counseling via virtual chats and things like that, helping them order their groceries, do child and elder care, getting their prescriptions. There are some that on top of the COVID-19, but all the unemployment that it's created, to be helping with housing or deductibles for insurance and those kinds of things. So we're trying to do the real things that are, we've always done things that were meaningful, but we did a lot of education. We're still doing the research. We're not backing down on that, but we've decided to make it much more personal and much more direct so that somebody can really feel the effects of what we're trying to do for them, and we can truly help them on an individual basis.
Well, I know that, grocery store shopping is a big thing. And I mean, it's huge. Here where I live in Ventura County, even now, months later, it's still difficult to have either pickup or delivery. Now, some of the markets are doing it and some aren't. So yesterday I wanted to order from a major chain that is the closest market to me, and they didn't have anything on my list. Well, on our list, because this was really created by my wife. But so I had to go to another one, and they said, well, you can get it, but it'll be 2 days. Well, yeah, right. And then one market said, we'll be there in an hour. That's the one that got the business.
Well, and we're trying to work with, you've got to, you don't plan on running out of butter. You don't plan on running out of bread, and milk and some of the staples that you need. We're working with Lyft on trying to create a program to help with that as well, where Lyft will be they are the ones that we're working with the transportation to and from the medical appointments. And we're working with them on trying to develop a program to where they can also be our grocery procurer and help us working with another organization, so that we're working on this in tandem to try to bring the groceries to them in a timely fashion and make certain that they get them and that all those precautions are taken care of. I know that I have been in the grocery store. Obviously, I've had it already. I've got the antibodies, done all those things that we need to do when you got the antibodies. And when I go to the store, I see those shoppers for the various companies that are in their shirts that have the thing on. They've got the list in their hand. They don't have on rubber gloves.
No.
They're picking up fruit. They don't necessarily have their mask on, or it's not over their nose. And, you don't know who's been in their car. So, we're trying to do this so that we can do a protective environment for cancer patients to make sure that all of these protocols are really, really covered. And if we can work with one company to make that happen, it'll just create the safety at a little bit of a higher level than it is right now.
Are you happy with the way it's going? Maybe this is political and you can say I don't want to answer it, and that's okay. But here in California, we're shut down. We're not shut down. We're partially shut down. You live in Orange County, California. A lot of pretty beaches there. This last weekend, the beaches throughout California were just stocked with people, and social distancing was not being enforced or done.
No.
So overall, are you happy, or do you think we should be more stringent? What do you think?
I do think, I don't think that it's enforceable. I don't think we can tax the police departments and the sheriffs and everything to be the COVID police. But what I do think, and I do wish, is that more people understood how serious this is. I mean, it really is. And, maybe because we've been through it personally and we know how sick we were. When I walked into the room and told Tina, I can't do this. I can't take care of me anymore. And I can't take care of you, because she was about 4 or 5 days behind me in diagnosis. I said, and she called the ambulance for me. I couldn't even drive myself to the hospital. I said, I can't do this. You don't know how sick you can get. And you've seen these naysayers. It's a hoax. It's all that. It's not a hoax. I don't politicize it, but I really wish that a lot of the general public was much more willing to recognize the seriousness of it. I don't care if you don't know somebody personally.
Right.
You heard enough stories. There's been enough on the news. There's been enough reporting about folks that were adamant about not wearing a mask. It was on the news this morning about a gentleman that passed, and then he's in that, or the COVID parties, which just baffles me beyond belief. And then that young man passed away this past week and said, I think I made a mistake.
Yeah, he was like 30 years old.
Yes. So you're out there playing Russian roulette with something that you can't control. And I wish that people would see the seriousness of it. I don't think we're going off the deep end and doing too much. I think we're trying to, do I personally like it? No. The fact that they close churches again, I go every Sunday. I'll miss going to Mass. But if that's what it takes to minimize the damage that this is doing out there in the public, and so that I don't give it to my come back and bring it home and maybe my wife catches it again, or that one of my kids or my grandchildren, then I will take whatever precautions I need to take to make certain that at least I know that I'm not one that's carrying this around. I'm really trying to be as cautious as possible. I don't understand the mentality, and I wish people understood better. And it's a tough time. But look what our relatives went through, our grandparents and our parents with 2 world wars and the Vietnam War. We're being asked to wear a mask. It ain't that big a deal from my point of view. It's just not.
And I have several masks, and 2 of them are washable. Some of them are disposable, and I keep the disposable ones in my car all the time in case I forget the other ones. One is an N95, and the other one is an N95 equivalent. It's the same material. But what I find interesting is that the gyms were open for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone into Gold's Gym if my life depended on it. And, talking about that extra 10 pounds or 12 pounds that we've all seemed to have put on, I really would like to get back on a treadmill and start working out again.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it at the cost of dying.
No, I don't either. And we are of the age that we're more susceptible. We have a higher level of possibility, but it is getting younger and younger and younger. Huh?
And now I'm going to get depressed. But I think that if you're,
we both have this color in our hair. No.
Yeah, well, one of us has more of it than the other one. That's because one of us is older. Guess which Mark is older. But I guess, and I just had a birthday. I really think that, I want this over. I do. But at the same time, I don't want to get sick. I don't want my family to get sick or my friends. No. I don't want people to die from this. And having big gatherings like at a church, a local synagogue asked me to come for services the last couple of weeks. And I really wanted to go. And they only had 10 or 12 people. But I wanted to play it safe. And I said, I'll come back sometime.
Well, I'm concerned about the schools and my grandkids. I'm concerned about my grandsons going back to school.
They don't have to do that. I think they announced this morning they're not happening here in California.
Yeah, well, thank God. And then we'll be penalized for that, I guess, or at least there'll be an effort to do that. But I was concerned about it. Because I kept saying to them, "How do you feel?" And I've got one grandson that's a little bit more sensitive to, I don't want to say he's a germaphobe, but he's just very cerebral. He's very smart, and he said, I'm a little concerned. He said, "Grandpa, I don't know if they're going to have morning classes, so there's fewer of us, and then afternoon classes, or if we're doing 1 day or 2 days, and then somebody else is doing 2 days, and the rest is online." But I'm concerned about them.
Wow. And
they're both healthy boys. I've got a granddaughter that works in retail. I'm concerned about her.
Sure.
So it's I don't think that they're going overboard with it. I think a lot of people don't understand the severity of the COVID and the virus.
Well, Mark, thank you very much for spending some time with us and sharing your personal story too.
Thank you.
People are interested in Komen. They go to komen-la-county.org. That's
yes, sir.
komen-la-county.org, and you'll find out all the activities of Komen LA, including information if you are a cancer survivor, breast cancer or not, as Mark had said. That'll give you some tips on how to further distance yourself from COVID-19.
Just all the precautionary measures you can possibly take. And we have this treatment assistance program that we do need help with. We're doing a tremendous, it is a response fund, and we're getting a lot of requests, and we're responding to everything. But like any other business right now, we're feeling the pinch. We're feeling the tightness of people don't have the expendable dollar. But if you've got something to share with us and you're concerned about these women and symptomatic men with breast cancer, please consider us. There's a donate page on the website, and think about us. Think about them.
Right. Think about, as you said, as everybody's saying, we're all in this together.
Exactly.
We all have to pitch in and help. Mark Pilon, Executive Director of Komen Los Angeles, and we appreciate that.
Okay.
I'm Mark Alyn.
It's a virtual.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But and by the way, Mark is a great hugger. I've experienced.
You've experienced that.
Yeah, I have. Join us at latenighthealth.com. That's latenighthealth.com. I'm Mark Alyn. We'll see you next time. Bye bye for now. Hold on, Mark.
All righty.
I had a